There's something almost magnetic about ancient sacred sites, the way they draw us in, standing silent and imposing, as if whispering secrets just beyond our grasp. But what if the real mysteries aren't in the towering structures above ground, but hidden deep below, in a shadowy world of forgotten tunnels and sealed chambers? Picture this: beneath the very stones you walk on during a visit to the pyramids of Giza or the Vatican's hallowed halls, there are passageways deliberately designed to vanish from history. These aren't just architectural quirks, they are carefully constructed vaults, built to guard knowledge so explosive, so transformative, that those in power deemed it too dangerous to survive. And today, we're pulling back the veil on 30 of these hidden pathways, each one a doorway to banned truths that could reshape our understanding of the past. Think about the sheer effort it would take to bury something forever, not just hide it, but ensure it stayed hidden for centuries. The builders of these subterranean labyrinths went to extraordinary lengths: false walls, booby-trapped corridors, even entire chambers filled with misleading artifacts to throw seekers off the trail. Why? Because what lay inside wasn't just forbidden, it was revolutionary. From the esoteric rituals of the Knights Templar concealed beneath Rosslyn Chapel to the cryptic symbols etched into the walls of Turkey's Derinkuyu underground city, these spaces weren't meant for casual explorers. They were fortresses of knowledge, protecting everything from advanced astronomical charts to healing techniques that defied the medical understanding of their time. And the most chilling part, many of these secrets were erased so thoroughly that we're only now beginning to piece them back together. So what happens when we follow these pathways today? It's not just about uncovering old scrolls or dusty artifacts. It's about confronting the uncomfortable idea that history, as we know it, might be missing entire chapters. Who decided which truths were too dangerous to share? How much of our collective past has been altered or erased? As we journey through these 30 hidden networks, from the echoing tunnels beneath Malta's megalithic temples to the submerged chambers of India's Kailash temple, you'll start to see a pattern, a deliberate, global effort to suppress knowledge that threatened the status quo. By the time we reach the end, you won't just see these sacred sites as monuments of faith or power. You'll see them as puzzles, each one holding a piece of a story we were never meant to hear. Ready to step into the shadows, let's begin. The Vatican's secret archives have long been shrouded in mystery, but what few realize is that the real intrigue lies beneath the surface, literally. Deep below the Vatican Library's hallowed halls, a labyrinth of tunnels winds through the earth, their contents guarded with a secrecy that rivals any ancient treasure vault. These aren't just storage rooms, they're a time capsule of forbidden knowledge, rumored to hold everything from alchemical manuscripts that could turn lead into gold, to lost gospels that challenge the very foundations of Christian doctrine. Take the Apocryphon of John, for example, a text so controversial it was excluded from the Bible, detailing revelations about the divine that early church leaders deemed too dangerous for public consumption. Why? Because these writings didn't just contradict official teachings, they threatened to rewrite them entirely. But the Vatican's underground network isn't just about suppressed religious texts. Whispers persist of even stranger artifacts hidden in those vaults, accounts of celestial phenomena, encounters with beings not of this world, and technologies that defy the timeline of human innovation. The sheer scale of the archives is staggering, with some estimates suggesting miles of shelving, much of it untouched for centuries, and access reserved for a select few, sworn to silence. It's as if the very walls were designed to keep secrets, not just preserve them. Now, shift your gaze from Rome to the sands of Egypt, where an even older enigma awaits. The Great Pyramid of Giza, often celebrated as a tomb, hides its own subterranean secret chambers and shafts that mainstream archaeology still can't fully explain. But that's a story for the next pathway. For now, consider this. If the Vatican went to such lengths to bury certain truths, what does that tell us about the power of knowledge and the fear it can inspire? The deeper we dig, the clearer it becomes. History isn't just written by the winners, it's also hidden by them. The Great Pyramid of Giza has stood as a silent sentinel for millennia, its perfect geometry puzzling generations of scholars. But what truly lies beneath its massive limestone blocks? In 2017, a team of scientists made a startling discovery: a vast, previously unknown void deep within the pyramid's heart, detected through advanced muon scanning technology. This hidden chamber, stretching nearly 100 feet long, sits directly above the Grand Gallery, its purpose shrouded in mystery. Could this be the legendary Hall of Records, the fabled repository of Atlantean wisdom that psychic Edgar Cayce prophesied would one day emerge? According to ancient texts, this vault was said to contain crystalline tablets holding secrets of antediluvian civilizations, knowledge so advanced it could rewrite humanity's origins. Egyptologists remain divided. Some argue the void is merely a structural feature, part of the pyramid's ingenious weight distribution system. But others point to the pyramid's precise alignment with celestial bodies and its mathematical perfection, suggesting it was designed as far more than a tomb. The pyramid's subterranean chamber, accessible only through a narrow, claustrophobic shaft, adds to the intrigue. Here, initiates may have undergone harrowing trials, descending into darkness to emerge transformed, a ritual echoed in secret societies across the ancient world. What's most telling, though, is the resistance to further exploration. Despite cutting-edge technology, Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities has repeatedly blocked invasive investigations into the void. Official explanations cite preservation concerns, but skeptics wonder, is there something in that chamber that could upend our understanding of history? From accounts of levitation techniques used in the pyramid's construction to rumors of energy-generating devices buried within its walls, the possibilities are as tantalizing as they are unsettling. Now journey with me from the dry heat of the Egyptian desert to the mist-shrouded jungles of India, where another temple guards its secrets just as fiercely. Beneath the towering Kailash temple, carved from a single mountainside, lies a maze of tunnels rumored to hold artifacts that defy explanation, but that's a pathway for another moment. For now, consider this: if the Great Pyramid's hidden chamber was meant to protect knowledge, why go to such extraordinary lengths to conceal it? The answer may lie not in what was buried, but in who wasn't meant to find it. Deep beneath the crumbling stones of Delphi's Temple of Apollo lies a secret far older than the oracle's famed prophecies. While tourists gaze up at the reconstructed columns, few realize the true heart of this sacred site isn't above ground, it's hidden below, in a warren of tunnels known only to initiates. Ancient sources describe a cavern called the Aditon, where priestesses inhaled ethylene gas rising from fissures in the earth, slipping into trances to deliver their cryptic visions. But recent excavations reveal something even more startling: a second, deeper chamber, its walls scorched by ritual fires and etched with symbols matching those found in distant Eleusis, where mystery cults performed their own mind-altering rites. What really happened in those shadowy depths? The vapors weren't just random geological phenomena, they were carefully controlled. Archaeologists found evidence of a primitive ventilation system, suggesting the priests could intensify or dilute the intoxicating gases depending on the initiate. Some tablets describe candidates undergoing days of sensory deprivation, forced to navigate pitch-black corridors while reciting sacred geometry. Was this spiritual enlightenment or psychological conditioning? The line blurs when you examine the prophecies themselves. Many of the oracle's pronouncements followed eerily consistent patterns, often steering Greek city-states toward war or alliance in ways that benefited Delphi's priesthood. The most chilling clue comes from a first-century historian who wrote of a hidden library beneath the temple, containing the unspoken truths that would unravel men's minds. No such archive has been found officially, but in 2001, workers repairing earthquake damage uncovered a sealed passage leading downward. Before scholars could investigate, the Greek government abruptly halted the project, citing safety concerns. Coincidence, or was someone ensuring Delphi's deepest secrets stayed buried? Now carry this question across continents to India's Padmanabhaswamy Temple, where vaults sealed for centuries may hold answers and dangers beyond imagining. But before we step into that labyrinth, consider the pattern emerging across these sites. Knowledge wasn't just hidden. It was ritualized, encrypted in experiences designed to filter who could access it. The real mystery isn't what the ancients knew. It's who they trusted with that knowledge and why so few were deemed worthy. The sacred city of Varanasi, where pilgrims bathe in the Ganges seeking spiritual purification, hides a far darker secret beneath its crumbling ghats. While devotees perform rituals above, an entire underground network snakes beneath the city tunnels connecting ancient temples where tantric masters once practiced rituals so potent they were scrubbed from Hindu texts. These weren't just meditation chambers, they were laboratories of the forbidden. Manuscripts recovered from hidden niches describe the Agori sect's most extreme rites, prolonged burial in underground crypts to simulate death, the consumption of ashes to transcend fear, and whispered mantras believed to halt aging itself. The most chilling accounts speak of Siddhi's supernatural powers gained through these practices, from levitation to bilocation. Why suppress such knowledge? Because these weren't just spiritual exercises, they were tools to dismantle the very fabric of societal hierarchy. In 2014, archaeologists mapping seismic activity stumbled upon one such sealed tunnel beneath the Manikarnika Ghat, where cremation fires burn eternally. Inside, they found walls covered in intricate yantras, geometric diagrams used to channel energy, along with human-sized niches etched with bind runes meant to contain explosive psychic force. Local priests swiftly intervened, halting further exploration. The official reason: disturbing sacred ground. But dig into tantric oral traditions and you'll uncover a more unsettling truth. These tunnels were designed as initiation labyrinths where adepts faced hallucinations, sensory deprivation, and confrontations with their own mortality. Those who emerged were said to wield abilities that threatened both religious and political authority, abilities that could make a person untouchable by death or decay. Now leap across oceans to the jungles of Guatemala, where another civilization buried its secrets just as deep. Beneath the Mayan city of El Mirador lies a sprawling subterranean network dubbed La Danta, its entrance concealed beneath a pyramid's false floor. Here, the Maya didn't just hide artifacts, they encoded entire histories in chambers lined with mercury, a metal they believed could trap souls. Spanish conquistadors wrote of priests who vanished into these tunnels, reappearing days later with prophecies that came true with terrifying accuracy. What knowledge did they guard? That's a pathway we'll walk next, but consider this parallel. From Varanasi to the Americas, the same pattern emerges. When knowledge threatens power, it doesn't get debated, it gets buried. Beneath the towering steps of Chichen Itza's El Castillo Pyramid, the sacred cenote yawns like a dark mouth, its waters hiding secrets far stranger than sacrificial gold. For decades, archaeologists assumed this sinkhole was simply a grim site of ritual offerings until divers discovered something chilling. A submerged tunnel system branching outward, its walls carved with symbols matching those in the Dresden Codex, the Maya's most enigmatic astronomical text. These weren't just drowning pits, they were portals designed to thrust initiates into the underworld and back. Accounts from Spanish missionaries describe shamans surviving hours underwater, emerging with prophecies so precise they predicted solar eclipses centuries in advance. How the answer may lie in the cenote's unique geology. Recent studies reveal the water contains high levels of dissolved limestone, which, when combined with certain psychoactive plants used in Maya rites, could induce near-death hallucinations. But here's where it gets eerie. Divers found human skeletons anchored to the tunnel walls with jade beads not haphazardly, but in precise astronomical alignments. One skeleton, dubbed the Stargazer, was positioned facing upward, its spine threaded with jade discs marking the positions of Orion's belt as it appeared in the year 1054. Was this a map, a warning, or something more? The Maya believed these tunnels were veins of the earth pulsing with it, the life force that powered creation. Modern explorers report something equally uncanny, compasses spinning wildly in the tunnels, as if the stones themselves remember their ancient purpose. Yet the most revealing artifact wasn't found in the water. It was hidden beneath a nearby Christian chapel. When workers repairing the chapel's foundation broke through a false floor, they uncovered a stela depicting a shaman emerging from the cenote's depths, holding a scroll labeled "The Words That Shook the Heavens." The scroll has never been found. Now, shift your gaze from the jungles of the Yucatan to the windswept cliffs of Scotland, where another sacred site conceals its secrets beneath a veneer of piety. Beneath Rosslyn Chapel's ornate carvings lies a vault so well guarded, even ground-penetrating radar can't penetrate its secrets, but that's a pathway for another moment. For now, consider this. If the Maya went to such lengths to encode celestial knowledge in human bone and jade, what does that tell us about the price of wisdom? Sometimes the deepest truths aren't just hidden, they're baptized in darkness. Rosslyn Chapel's stone vines and angels draw thousands of visitors each year, but the real story isn't carved in plain sight, it's buried beneath their feet. While tourists marvel at the chapel's famed apprentice pillar, few realize its base conceals something far more extraordinary, a hidden stairwell descending into darkness. In 2010, ground-penetrating radar detected 3 vast chambers beneath the chapel's foundation, their dimensions matching descriptions from suppressed Templar texts. These weren't mere storage cellars, their walls aligned with sacred geometry found in Solomon's temple, suggesting the knights didn't just hide treasure, they replicated an entire sacred architecture underground. What could warrant such secrecy? Legends speak of the chapel as the final resting place of the Holy Grail, but Templar scholars whisper of something even more explosive, the Sanctum Codex, a manuscript allegedly containing Jesus' teachings deemed too radical for the medieval church. Fragmentary accounts describe it challenging doctrines like original sin and eternal damnation, instead preaching reincarnation and divine unity, ideas that would have shattered the church's authority. Even more intriguing are the chapel's subterranean acoustics. Engineers discovered the chambers resonate at precisely 33 Hz, the frequency known to induce trance states. Was this a deliberate design, allowing initiates to hear hidden knowledge through vibration rather than text? The most compelling evidence lies in plain sight, yet unseen. Rosslyn's ceiling carvings aren't just decorative, they mirror star constellations from April 13, 1244, the exact date Templar leaders were arrested in France. Coincidence or a celestial map pointing to something buried below? Local archivists recently uncovered a 16th century diary describing midnight excavations where men emerged pale, carrying neither gold nor silver, but that which made them tremble. Whatever lay in those vaults wasn't just valuable, it was transformative. Now, journey from Scotland's misty lowlands to the thin air of the Himalayas, where another sanctuary guards its secrets behind monastery walls. Beneath the golden roofs of Bhutan's Taksang Palphog Monastery, monks preserve texts said to hold the keys to consciousness itself, but that's a pathway for another moment. For now, consider this. If the Templars went to such lengths to encrypt their secrets in stone and subterranean chambers, what does that tell us about the power of unorthodox ideas? Sometimes the most dangerous truths aren't just hidden, they're woven into the very fabric of the places we least expect. Mount Kailash rises from the Tibetan plateau like a frozen pyramid, its slopes untouched by climbers out of respect for its sacred status. But the real mystery isn't what's visible, it's what lies beneath. Local monks speak of vast, honeycombed caverns hidden within the mountain, where adepts meditate in pitch darkness for years, emerging with skin untouched by time. These aren't just legends. In the 1980s, a Soviet expedition equipped with sonar technology confirmed the mountain's hollow interior, detecting chambers arranged in precise geometric patterns. Yet within days, the team abruptly left, their record sealed. One surviving diary entry reads, "The instruments went mad, the mountain sings." What could explain such phenomena? Ancient Hindu texts describe Mount Kailash as the axis mundi, the cosmic pillar linking Earth to higher realms. The Jains believe it houses the hall where their first prophet achieved enlightenment, while Bonpo traditions tell of a hidden city beneath its slopes, illuminated by a luminous stone called the Sky Iron. Modern researchers note something even stranger. The mountain's four faces align perfectly with the cardinal directions, and its base measures exactly 666 times 666 feet, a sacred number in multiple traditions. Coincidence or deliberate encoding? The most compelling accounts come from monks who have ventured into the caves. They describe corridors lined with metallic mirrors that distort time, and rooms where candles burn without oxygen. Some return with impossible knowledge, like the Lama who accurately sketched DNA's double helix in the 1920s, centuries before its scientific discovery. Others never return at all. When Chinese authorities installed gates to seal the primary cave entrance in 2003, officials claimed it was for preservation. Yet locals whisper of soldiers who entered and emerged hours later, their hair turned white, babbling about a light that showed them their past lives. Now shift your gaze from Tibet's icy heights to the ancient dust of Jerusalem. Beneath the western wall's worn stones lies a subterranean city older than the Bible itself, a maze where crusaders hid relics and Templars conducted rituals no parchment dared describe. But that's a pathway for another moment. For now, consider this. If a mountain can hold time at bay and warp the very laws of physics, what does that say about the boundaries of human understanding? Some doors weren't meant to be opened, not because they guard secrets, but because we might not survive what we find. Beneath the temple mounts weathered stones where pilgrims pray and political tensions simmer, lies a secret far older than the conflicts above, a labyrinth of tunnels so ancient, even the Bible only hints at their existence. Hebrew texts like the Mishnah describe vast underground chambers beneath Solomon's temple, designed not just to store sacred relics but to conceal them. Among these treasures, one stands out, the Ark of the Covenant, said to hold the very power of God. But here's what historians rarely mention: the Ark wasn't just hidden. It was deliberately erased from history. When Babylonian forces sacked Jerusalem in 586 BCE, the Ark vanished without a trace. Yet scrolls discovered near the Dead Sea tell a different story. Priests smuggled it into the temple's subterranean network, sealing it behind a door that would only reopen when the righteous reign. Modern attempts to explore these tunnels have been met with fierce resistance. In 1981, a team of archaeologists using ground-penetrating radar detected a massive void beneath the Temple Mount's southern wall. Before they could publish their findings, their equipment was confiscated by religious authorities. Decades later, infrared scans revealed heat signatures suggesting artificial chambers, but excavations were blocked under the guise of preserving religious harmony. Why such secrecy? Some scholars point to the tunnel's potential connections to other sites, like the underground city of Petra or the caves of Qumran, where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. Others whisper of artifacts that could rewrite the history of monotheism itself, tablets predating Moses, or maps to lost tribes. The most tantalizing clue comes from a 12th century rabbi's journal discovered in a Cairo synagogue. It describes a secret passage linking the Temple Mount to the Judean desert, where an entire library of copper scrolls was buried, scrolls listing the locations of hidden treasures from Solomon's reign. Intriguingly, one such scroll was found in 1952, its cryptic text referring to a sanctuary beneath the sanctuary, but the rest remain missing, their contents known only to those who hid them. Now shift your gaze from Jerusalem's sacred stones to the windswept sands of Egypt's eastern desert, where another library vanished without a trace. The legendary House of Wisdom in Alexandria wasn't the only repository of ancient knowledge to fall victim to flames. Deep in the desert, the Nabateans built a hidden archive beneath their rose-red city of Petra, a cache of texts so explosive, Roman invaders burned every scroll they could find. Yet locals insist some survived, sealed in chambers carved beneath the treasury's ornate facade. What could be so dangerous about old parchment? Perhaps the answer lies not in the words themselves, but in the truths they guard, truths about civilizations that flourished long before ours, their wisdom buried not by time but by design. The Golden Age of Timbuktu isn't just a legend, it's buried beneath the Saharan sands, waiting to be unearthed. While the world remembers this Malian city as a crossroads of trade, few know its greatest treasures weren't gold or spices, but knowledge so advanced it threatened empires. When Moroccan invaders stormed the city in 1591, scholars didn't just hide their manuscripts, they built entire subterranean libraries, sealing away thousands of texts on everything from celestial navigation to alchemy. Fast forward to 2012, when conservators restoring a crumbling mosque stumbled upon a hidden chamber. Inside, they found leather-bound volumes describing the orbits of Jupiter's moons centuries before Galileo's telescope. How could 12th century scholars map the heavens with such precision? The answer might lie in the manuscripts themselves. Unlike European texts of the same era, which treated astronomy as divine mystery, Timbuktu's scholars approached the cosmos as a mathematical puzzle. One recovered scroll, the Tariq al-Sudan, contains star charts so accurate they account for atmospheric refraction, a phenomenon not formally documented until the 1800s. Even more startling are the marginal notes where scribes debated whether distant stars might have worlds of their own, but these weren't just academic exercises. The manuscripts reveal a darker purpose: navigation routes for trans-Saharan caravans encoded in constellations, allowing traders to traverse the desert without compasses. Knowledge wasn't just power here, it was survival. Yet the most provocative texts remain missing. Local griots oral historians speak of a vault called the Room of Winds, where scholars stored treatises on manipulating weather patterns using harmonic vibrations. French colonial records from the 1920s mention soldiers discovering a chamber filled with copper instruments tuned to specific frequencies, but the artifacts vanished before they could be studied. Modern researchers suspect these devices weren't mystical but technological, harnessing principles of resonance we're only now rediscovering. Now, shift your gaze from the Sahara's burning dunes to the damp crypts of Europe. Beneath Chartres Cathedral, where pilgrims tread softly across labyrinthine floors, lies a secret even older than the Gothic arches above. Blackened fragments of manuscripts found in the basement hint at a library deliberately burned during the Albigensian Crusade, texts that may have held the very knowledge Timbuktu's scholars died to protect. But that's a pathway for another moment. For now, consider this. If a desert city could safeguard cosmic truths while Europe languished in dogma, what else might still lie hidden, waiting for the right hands to uncover it? Beneath the soaring spires of Chartres Cathedral, where stained glass bathes pilgrims in kaleidoscopic light, a darker secret pulses through the stone. While visitors trace the famous labyrinth on the nave floor, few realize its true counterpart lies beneath their feet, a network of crypts so charged with energy that medieval alchemists called it the womb of the world. Step into these shadowed chambers, and you'll find walls etched not with crosses, but with pagan spirals, zodiac wheels, and something even more startling: precise mathematical ratios matching the dimensions of Solomon's temple. This isn't just coincidence, it's design. Historical records from the 12th century describe initiates undergoing rituals in these catacombs, drinking elixirs brewed from local herbs to induce visions of sacred geometry, the hidden patterns believed to underpin creation. One surviving account, penned by a monk named Pierre de Roissy, details how candidates were led blindfolded through the tunnels, their hands pressed against carvings of the flower of life symbol until the shapes burned behind their eyelids. Those who succeeded reportedly emerged with the ability to see the bones of the world, perceiving energy lines that connected Chartres to Stonehenge, the Great Pyramid, and other sacred sites across the globe. But why hide such practices beneath a Christian cathedral? The answer lies in the cathedral's very foundations. Built atop a druidic sacred spring, Chartres sits at the intersection of three powerful ley lines, invisible energy channels said to amplify spiritual power. When church authorities discovered alchemists using these forces to conduct experiments in transmutation and healing during the 13th century, they didn't destroy the knowledge. They buried it. Modern acousticians studying the crypts made an eerie discovery. The chambers resonate at exactly 111 Hz, the same frequency found in ancient Maltese temples and Newgrange passage tombs. This precise pitch is known to induce altered states, quieting the brain's language centers to open pathways to nonverbal awareness. Some claim they've heard whispers in these tunnels, voices chanting in lost tongues. Others report sudden temperature drops, as if the stones themselves remember the seekers who once walked here. Perhaps the most compelling evidence lies hidden in plain sight. The cathedral's famed Labyrinth on the upper floor isn't just a meditation tool, it's a cipher. Follow its path with a geomancer's compass, and the turns align with key points in the underground network, marking chambers where initiates reportedly communed with what they called the architects, beings of light who imparted secrets of sacred mathematics. Now turn your gaze from France's hallowed halls to the sun-baked cliffs of Turkey, where another underground city hides its mysteries behind walls of salt and silence. Beneath Derinkuyu, entire civilizations sought refuge, but from what? That's a pathway we'll walk next. For now, consider this. If Chartres crypts could unlock visions of the universe's hidden order, what does that say about the power of places where earth and energy converge? Some truths aren't lost. They're waiting beneath our footsteps, humming just beyond hearing. The stone corridors of Derinkuyu stretch like arteries beneath the Turkish landscape, an underground metropolis carved with such precision that modern engineers still marvel at its ventilation shafts and rolling stone doors. But step beyond the public chambers, the stables, wineries, and sleeping quarters, and you'll find passages that defy logic. Here, in the deepest levels where only priests and initiates ventured, the walls themselves seem to remember. Whisper a word in one chamber, and it travels crystal clear through nearly 3 miles of winding tunnels, arriving undisturbed in distant rooms as if the stones were conduits for sound itself. Acoustic experts have tested these whispering galleries for decades, yet no one can fully explain how Bronze Age builders achieved such precision without modern tools. The secret might lie in the tunnel's shape. Unlike straight corridors that distort sound, Derinkuyu's passages curve in gentle, calculated arcs, their surfaces etched with thousands of tiny, deliberate grooves. These aren't decorative, they're acoustic filters, scattering certain frequencies while amplifying others. Ancient Hittite texts describe rituals where priests used these tunnels to project chants across the city, creating a chorus of voices that seemed to rise from the earth itself. Initiates wrote of hearing the gods' replies in these echoes, suggesting the galleries weren't just technological feats, they were bridges to the divine. But the real mystery isn't how sound traveled, it's why. Recent excavations uncovered a sealed chamber lined with resonant basalt pillars, each tuned to a specific harmonic frequency. When struck, they produce tones that align with the Schumann resonance, the natural electromagnetic pulse of the earth. Was Derinkuyu's underground network more than a refuge? Could it have been a giant resonating chamber designed to harmonize human consciousness with the planet's own vibrations? The implications are staggering. Modern bioacoustics research shows that exposure to certain frequencies can alter brainwave patterns, inducing states of heightened awareness or even healing. If Derinkuyu's priests understood this millennia ago, they weren't just hiding from invaders, they were preserving a science of sacred sound. Now, shift your gaze from Anatolia's echoing depths to the jungles of Ecuador, where another subterranean marvel awaits. Beneath the tangled roots of the Amazon, the Teos caves stretch for miles, their walls glittering with metallic libraries that may hold the missing pieces of this acoustic puzzle. But that's a pathway for another moment. For now, consider this. If ancient builders could manipulate sound with such mastery, what other forgotten technologies might still lie buried, waiting to be heard? Deep in the Ecuadorian Amazon, where vines choke the sunlight and the air hums with unseen life, lies a cave system that defies every rule of conventional archaeology. The Teos caves aren't just caverns, they're a lost library. It's shelves carved not from wood but from living stone. It's books forged from thin sheets of gleaming metal. In 1976, Scottish explorer Stan Hall led an expedition into these shadowed halls, accompanied by none other than Neil Armstrong, the first man to walk on the moon. What they claimed to find would rewrite history if the evidence hadn't vanished without a trace. The team described chambers lined with thousands of metallic plates, each inscribed with precise geometric symbols and unfamiliar scripts. Some plates allegedly depicted astronomical maps so advanced they included celestial bodies invisible to the naked eye. Others showed humanoid figures performing surgeries with instruments resembling laser scalpels, an impossibility for any known ancient civilization. But here's where the story twists. When the team returned to the surface with a handful of artifacts, Ecuadorian military officials confiscated everything, citing national heritage protection. The plates were never seen again. Local Shuar elders who have guarded Teos for generations tell a different story. They speak of the caves as a gift from the metal people, beings who descended from the stars bearing knowledge too potent for unprepared minds. The Shuar's oral traditions describe initiates spending months underground, learning to read the metallic plates not with their eyes, but through touch, a practice eerily similar to modern Braille. Even stranger are reports of certain chambers where shadows behave unnaturally, stretching toward the walls as if drawn by invisible magnets. Scientists who have studied the cave's unique mineral composition suggest high concentrations of magnetite could create localized distortions in light and gravity. But the most tantalizing clue lies in a declassified British intelligence file from 1982, which mentions a crystalline object recovered from Teos that emitted low-frequency vibrations when exposed to sunlight. The file's final page is redacted, leaving only a single phrase. Subject exhibits properties inconsistent with known metallurgy. Was this the key to the cave's secrets? A technology so advanced it blurred the line between physics and myth. Now shift your gaze from Ecuador's emerald depths to a desert half a world away. In the sands of Saudi Arabia's empty quarter, another cave system hides walls that swallow light whole, a place where shadows don't just linger, they vanish. But that's a pathway for another moment. For now, consider this. If knowledge is power, then Teos represents the ultimate taboo, a library where the books themselves might be alive with forgotten science. The real question isn't who built it, it's who decided the rest of us shouldn't know. Beneath the sun-baked streets of Malta lies a place where sound takes physical form, the Hypogeum, a labyrinth carved from solid limestone over 5,000 years ago. While most ancient sites celebrate light, this one embraces darkness, its chambers descending 3 levels into the earth like a spiral into the underworld. But what makes this necropolis truly unsettling isn't just the 7,000 skeletons discovered here, it's the skulls. Many are abnormally elongated, their shapes defying natural human anatomy. Local folklore claims these were the remains of the sleeping giants, a race of beings who communicated through vibrations rather than speech. Modern science offers a stranger truth. When researchers tested the Hypogeum's acoustics, they found something extraordinary. The oracle chamber, a room carved with precision to amplify specific frequencies, resonates at exactly 110 Hz, the same sacred tone found in Newgrange and Shartres Cathedral. At this frequency, the human brain shifts from beta to theta waves, inducing trance-like states conducive to visions. Even more eerie, whisper a word in this chamber, and the sound doesn't fade, it lingers, bouncing between the curved walls for nearly 8 seconds, far longer than physics should allow. Archaeologist Fernando Coimbra experienced this first, and when his team's equipment picked up voices in an empty chamber, their words unintelligible but their presence undeniable. The Hypogeum's designers didn't just understand acoustics, they weaponized them. Narrow, speaking tubes connect distant chambers, allowing priests or whoever held power here to project disembodied voices across the complex. Initiates, already disoriented by the labyrinth's darkness, would have been primed for psychological transformation. Add the low-frequency hum that still permeates the tunnels, a vibration some visitors claim makes their bones feel liquid, and you have a recipe for altered consciousness. But the real mystery lies in the artifacts that vanished. Early excavators reported finding singing stones, lithophones that produced musical tones when struck. These disappeared shortly after their discovery, along with a series of carved spirals that, when illuminated at a specific angle, created optical illusions of movement. Were these tools for sonic rituals or something more? The Hypogeum's original excavator, Manuel Magri, died mysteriously before publishing his findings, and his notes were lost in a Jesuit archive. Coincidence or silencing? Now, journey from Malta's whispering catacombs to the rolling hills of France, where another underground marvel hides its secrets beneath a veneer of pastoral charm. Beneath the village of Rennes-le-Château, rumors swirl of a crypt where the very walls bleed symbols, and where a priest's 19th century discovery may hold the key to a treasure far stranger than gold. But that's a pathway for another moment. For now, consider this. If sound could sculpt minds in the Hypogeum, what other ancient technologies might still pulse beneath our feet, waiting for the right frequency to wake them? Rennes-le-Château looks like any other sleepy French village, with its cobbled streets and geranium-filled window boxes until you notice the church. Not a Dame de Martyr hides a secret beneath its unassuming facade, one that transformed its priest, Bérenger Saunière, from a penniless clergyman to a man who spent lavishly on gold chalices and rare books overnight. The source of his sudden wealth, locals whisper of a discovery in the crypt, where Saunière allegedly stumbled upon a tunnel leading to something far more explosive than treasure. The priest's own diary hints at what he found. Pages from 1891 describe a hollow sound behind the altar, followed by the discovery of a hidden cavity containing parchments that shook my faith to its core. These weren't just any documents. They're said to link Jesus not to divinity, but to a royal bloodline stretching through medieval Europe. Even more intriguing are the symbols Saunière carved into the church's renovation. Inverted crosses, a demonic statue greeting visitors at the entrance, and a Latin inscription reading, "This place is terrible," a phrase reserved in scripture for encounters with the divine. Was this a confession or a warning? Modern explorers have mapped the tunnels snaking beneath Rennes-le-Château, revealing a network that connects to nearby castles once held by the Knights Templar. One passage, sealed by French authorities in 1965, reportedly ends at a chamber lined with alchemical symbols and a sarcophagus containing 3 skeletons, 2 adult, 1 child, their bones arranged in a deliberate pattern mirroring the constellation Orion. But the real mystery isn't the tunnel's contents, it's where they lead. Ground-penetrating radar suggests the passages continue eastward, terminating beneath a nearby mountain known as Bugarach, dubbed the Upside-Down Pyramid for its peculiar geology. Here's where the story takes a stranger turn. Bugarach isn't just a mountain, it's a time capsule. Local farmers tell of pocket watches found in its foothills, their mechanisms frozen at the same hour, 3:33. Geologists studying the area have recorded bizarre magnetic anomalies, with compass needles spinning wildly near certain rock formations. Could these phenomena explain the legends of Bugarach as a stargate, a place where Templars hid not just gold, but knowledge of time itself? Ancient texts recovered from a nearby monastery describe a clock beneath the stone, a device said to measure the ages between worlds. Whether metaphor or machine, one thing is clear: the tunnels of Rennes-le-Château don't just hide secrets, they guard a puzzle meant to outlast empires. Now shift your gaze from France's shadowed crypts to the sun-scorched plains of Iraq, where another mountain conceals a doorway older than written history. Beneath the sands of Kurdistan, the caves of Shanidar hold bones that whisper of civilizations risen and fallen long before our stories began. But that's a pathway for another moment. For now, consider this: if time can be buried, what else might lie hidden in the earth, waiting for the right moment to be found? Mount Shasta's snow-capped peak dominates the Northern California skyline, but its greatest secrets don't lie on the slopes. They pulse deep within the mountain's volcanic heart. For generations, the local Wintu people have spoken of Teos, a hidden city beneath the earth where ageless beings track the movements of stars with instruments beyond human understanding. These aren't just legends. Hikers have reported eerie encounters for over a century, glowing figures in white robes vanishing into solid rock, orbs of light dancing near cave entrances that vanish when approached. Even stranger are the accounts from pilots who have logged radar anomalies over the mountain, as if something beneath the surface deflects electromagnetic waves. The most compelling evidence comes from an unexpected source: early 20th century mining surveys. In 1931, a team drilling near Panther Meadows broke into a cavern system unlike anything in the geological record. Their notes describe walls polished to a mirror finish, embedded with crystalline panels that emitted a faint hum. The foreman's journal recounts a bizarre incident. When one worker touched a panel, the entire tunnel thrummed like a struck bell, and the man claimed to see visions of wheels within wheels spinning in the air. By morning, the shaft had collapsed, and the company abandoned the site without explanation. Modern researchers have located the coordinates, but magnetic disturbances render drones and scanning equipment useless. What could explain these phenomena? Tribal elders describe the mountain as a clock for the world, its inner chambers tuned to celestial rhythms. Some oral traditions speak of a great harmonic engine beneath Shasta, built by survivors of a lost Pacific civilization to measure cosmic cycles we've forgotten. The parallels to other sacred sites are uncanny. Just like Derinkuyu's resonant chambers or Shartres' sonic crypts, Shasta's hidden network seems designed to manipulate vibration and time. Even the mountain's geology defies expectations. Core samples reveal pockets of an unknown metallic alloy, its atomic structure arranged in fractal patterns that match no natural mineral. Now cross the Atlantic to England's rolling countryside, where another enigma waits beneath the unassuming fields of Gloucestershire. Beneath the Roman ruins of Cirencester, a labyrinth of tunnels winds through the earth, their walls lined with Ogam script, an ancient Celtic alphabet said to hold the power of prophecy. But that's a pathway for another moment. For now, consider this. If Shasta's hidden city truly exists, its keepers aren't just guarding knowledge. They're maintaining a rhythm, a pulse beneath our feet that may dictate far more than we realize. Some clocks don't tell time, they shape it. Beneath the rolling green fields surrounding Stonehenge, where tourists crane their necks to marvel at the towering Sarsens, lies a hidden world few ever see. Ground-penetrating radar has peeled back the earth like the pages of an ancient manuscript, revealing a sprawling network of tunnels that twist and turn beneath the monument's iconic stones. These aren't mere drainage channels or animal burrows, they're precision-engineered passageways, their walls etched with symbols that mirror constellations visible only during specific lunar cycles. Druid oral traditions speak of these tunnels as the veins of the earth, conduits where initiates would crawl in darkness for hours, emerging into chambers where star maps were carved into the ceiling. One such chamber, discovered in 2019, holds a chilling secret. At the center of the room, a flat stone slab is positioned directly beneath a narrow shaft that angles upward, a shaft that aligns perfectly with the sunrise on the winter solstice. On that single day each year, a beam of light pierces the tunnel, striking the slab with mathematical precision. But here's what researchers find even more fascinating: the slab isn't blank. It's covered in tiny, cup-shaped indentations arranged in spirals that match the orbital patterns of Jupiter's moons, celestial bodies invisible without telescopes. How could Bronze Age people have known these patterns? The answer might lie in the tunnels themselves. Acoustic tests reveal something extraordinary. When certain tones are sung in the chambers, the sound waves trigger vibrations in the walls that cause quartz crystals embedded in the rock to emit faint pulses of light. Modern physicists confirm this phenomenon, known as triboluminescence, could create the illusion of stars shimmering in the darkness, a perfect replica of the night sky projected underground. Were these tunnels more than ritual spaces? Could they have been ancient observatories where Druid astronomers tracked celestial movements without ever needing to look upward? Now shift your gaze from the chalky depths of Wiltshire to a place where water refuses to obey the laws of nature. In the heart of Bolivia's highlands, the ruins of Tiwanaku guard a staircase where streams flow uphill, defying gravity itself. But that's a pathway for another moment. For now, consider this. If Stonehenge's builders could map the heavens from beneath the earth, what other forgotten sciences might still hum in the darkness, waiting for the right voice to wake them? Chand Bayori's steps descend like a stone waterfall into the earth, 16 stories of perfect symmetry carved into Rajasthan's arid landscape. But at the very bottom, where most stepwells collect rainwater, this ancient marvel defies nature itself. A hidden chamber lies beneath the final step, a pool where water doesn't settle, it rises. Witnesses from as early as the 9th century describe watching liquid climb the walls in thin, shimmering threads, curling upward like vines seeking sunlight. Local legends claim yoga once meditated here, their bodies lifting effortlessly as the water reversed its flow. Modern engineers call it a capillary action anomaly, but the precision required to engineer such an effect without modern physics hints at something far more deliberate. The stepwell's builders left clues in Sanskrit inscriptions lining the chamber. One cryptic verse translates to, "The serpent's breath lifts the wise," likely referencing the Kundalini energy said to rise along the spine during deep meditation. Another describes a path of mirrors beneath the pool, a detail that took on new meaning when divers discovered a submerged network of polished copper plates angled precisely to reflect moonlight down a vertical shaft during certain lunar phases. Were these plates part of some hydraulic mechanism or something more esoteric? Researchers from the Indian Institute of Technology found that when specific tones are sung near the chamber, the water's surface vibrates in geometric patterns identical to those in Tibetan singing bowls, a phenomenon known as cymatics. This isn't just architecture, it's alchemy. Yet the most startling revelation came in 2018 when drought exposed something no one expected. As the water receded, archaeologists spotted grooves cut into the chamber's floor, spiraling channels that match the Fibonacci sequence. When filled, these grooves would have created a spinning vortex, potentially generating enough kinetic energy to counteract gravity's pull on nearby objects. Could this explain the levitation accounts? The implications are staggering. Ancient texts like the Samrangana Sutradhara describe vimanas, mythical flying machines powered by spinning mercury. Were Chand Bayori's builders experimenting with the same principles on a smaller scale? The mystery deepens when you trace the stepwell's history. In the 16th century, Mughal rulers ordered records of its construction destroyed, and the priests who tended the well vanished overnight. Only fragments survive, like a single palm leaf manuscript describing a wheel beneath the water that could make light what was heavy. Today, the lower chamber remains sealed by iron grates, its waters still whispering secrets to those who press an ear to the stone. Now follow the trail of these forbidden waters to a place where an entire city drowned to protect its secrets. Off the coast of Gujarat, the sunken ruins of Dwarka Beacon, a kingdom said to have vanished in a single night, carrying its technologies beneath the waves. But that's a pathway for another moment. For now, consider this. If water can defy gravity in Chand Bayori's depths, what other laws of nature might our ancestors have mastered, and why were we never meant to know? Beneath the turquoise waves off Japan's Yonaguni Island, a massive stone structure rises from the ocean floor like a sleeping giant. Its terraced walls, right-angled corners, and symmetrical staircases seem too precise to be the work of nature, yet mainstream archaeology insists these formations were carved by millennia of tidal erosion. But here's what doesn't add up. The structure's flat platforms align perfectly with solstice sunrises, and its pillars bear tool marks consistent with ancient quarrying techniques. Marine geologist Masaaki Kimura spent decades mapping the site, uncovering what he believes are ceremonial plazas, carved reliefs resembling human faces, and even a stadium-like seating area. Yet despite his findings, Japan's government has repeatedly blocked further investigation, dismissing the ruins as a geological curiosity. Divers who have braved the strong currents describe an eerie sensation in the submerged halls, a feeling of being watched. Some report shadows that move independently of light, flickering along the walls like projections from an unseen source. Even more unsettling are the sonar anomalies detected in nearby trenches, revealing caverns that echo with rhythmic pulses at frequencies just beyond human hearing. Local fishermen have legends of a city called Mu that sank beneath the waves in a single night, its priests forewarned by voices in the stone. Could Yonaguni be its last remnant? The most compelling evidence lies in the details. One particular tunnel, accessible only during low tide, twists downward into a chamber where the walls are covered in symbols matching those found on Okinawa's prehistoric pottery, a script so old it predates any known Japanese writing system. Even stranger, the chamber's ceiling is embedded with clusters of magnetite crystals, arranged in patterns that generate weak electromagnetic fields. Researchers testing the site with compasses found their needles spinning erratically near these formations, as if the stones themselves were charged with energy. Why the official resistance to exploration? Some point to the site's proximity to sensitive military zones, while others whisper of artifacts recovered during secret dives, artifacts that allegedly include metallic orbs capable of emitting low-frequency vibrations. Whatever the truth, Yonaguni's sunken halls challenge our timeline of human civilization. If these terraces were shaped by hands, not tides, they'd rewrite history, proving advanced cultures thrived here long before recorded time. Now descend deeper, past the pyramid's disputed steps into a grotto where the water turns ink black. Here, divers report a phenomenon that defies explanation, shadows that don't just move but reach. One expedition member described a moment his flashlight beam caught something impossible, a silhouette that peeled away from the wall, stretching toward him like liquid night before vanishing into the rock. Scientists dismiss it as a trick of sediment and oxygen deprivation, but the indigenous Yama people have a different name for it: the Watchers in the Deep. From Japan's shadowed caverns, our journey takes us to a desert where entire libraries were buried to outlast time itself. Beneath the sands of the Taklamakan, scrolls written in lost tongues whisper of empires that vanished without a trace, but that's a pathway for another moment. For now, consider this: if Yonaguni's ruins are natural, why do they hum with such unnerving precision? And if they're man-made, what cataclysm or choice sent them beneath the waves? Some doors stay locked not because we lack the key, but because we might not survive what's waiting on the other side. The air in Virginia's Luray caverns hums with an otherworldly music, not from any instrument but from the caverns themselves. Stalactites here, some as slender as reeds, others thick as tree trunks, ring with precise musical tones when struck, creating an ethereal underground orchestra. But venture beyond the well-lit tourist paths and the atmosphere shifts. Shadows seem to detach from the walls, moving with a purpose that defies logic. Native American oral traditions speak of these entities as the Tsenakamaka, ancestral guardians who linger in the limestone corridors, protecting knowledge too sacred for the surface world. Explorers have documented strange phenomena in the cavern's deepest chambers, flashlights flickering without cause, whispers echoing from empty tunnels, and the unsettling sensation of being watched by something just beyond the edge of vision. In 2014, a team mapping uncharted passages discovered a narrow alcove where the walls were covered in symbols unlike any known indigenous script. The carvings, when analyzed by linguists, bore an uncanny resemblance to Ogam, an ancient Celtic tree alphabet. How could two disparate cultures, separated by an ocean and millennia, leave marks in the same hidden place? The answer might lie in the cavern's unique acoustics. Scientists studying the site found that certain chambers amplify specific frequencies, creating standing waves that can induce disorientation or even hallucinations. But local tribal elders insist the effects are no accident. They describe rituals where initiates would spend nights in the caverns, guided by the Tsenakomaka through visions of the past and future. One legend tells of a hidden chamber where the stalactites form a perfect spiral, each one tuned to a note in a celestial scale. Strike them in sequence, and the walls themselves would dissolve, revealing a portal to what the tribes called the time before time. Yet the most chilling account comes from a 19th-century surveyor's journal, buried in a Virginia archive. He wrote of a tunnel that swallowed sound whole, where his compass spun wildly and his candle flames froze mid-flicker. At the tunnel's end, he claimed to find a stone door carved with 7 concentric circles, a design matching descriptions of the Himmelsbrief, a mythical Germanic charm said to grant passage to other realms. Before he could document further, a rockslide sealed the passage. Modern scans confirm an anomaly in that exact location, a hollow space behind the collapse, its dimensions too precise to be natural. Now cross the Atlantic to a place where Europe's own shadows whisper through the stones. Beneath Austria's Salzburg Cathedral, a crypt hides beneath the crypt, a subterranean chapel where the walls are lined with skeletal monks, their bones arranged in intricate patterns that hum when the wind rushes through hidden vents. But that's a pathway for another moment. For now, consider this. If Luray's guardians still walk its tunnels, what forgotten pact binds them to the dark? Some secrets aren't just hidden, they're alive, watching, waiting for the right note to wake them. Beneath Prague's cobblestone streets, where tourists flock to admire the astronomical clock, lies a labyrinth few dare to enter, the alchemical vaults of Emperor Rudolf II. This 16th-century ruler didn't just collect art and curiosities. He funded secret laboratories where Europe's most brilliant and dangerous minds chased the impossible. Among them, the infamous duo John Dee and Edward Kelly conducted experiments that blurred the line between science and sorcery, their workrooms hidden beneath the very streets where merchants sold their wares. But what if their greatest discovery wasn't lost to history, but deliberately entombed? Walk down the unassuming alleyways of Old Town today, and you'll find subtle clues etched into the architecture. Above a nondescript door near the Charles Bridge, a weathered carving depicts a serpent swallowing its tail, the Ouroboros, symbol of eternal cycles. This was once the entrance to Rudolf's private network of tunnels, where alchemists toiled over furnaces day and night, seeking the philosopher's stone. Contemporary accounts describe Kelly's alleged success in producing a mysterious red powder, said to transmute base metals into gold, and more chillingly, to grant immortality. One witness, a scribe named Jacob, wrote of seeing a vial of the substance glow with an unnatural light before Rudolf ordered all records of the experiment destroyed. The emperor's obsession with secrecy wasn't just paranoia. Dee's encrypted journals, now housed in the British Museum, hint at something far darker than gold making. Pages torn from his Liber Logaeth describe a ritual performed in the vaults, a summoning that allegedly opened a gateway to what Kelly called the language of angels. Those present reported hearing disembodied voices speaking in reverse Latin, while the walls themselves seemed to pulse with a rhythm like a heartbeat. When Prague's clergy caught wind of these experiments, they demanded the vaults be sealed, but not before something escaped. Modern explorations tell an eerie tale. In 2012, engineers repairing sewer lines stumbled upon a bricked-up chamber beneath Bethlehem Chapel. Inside, they found blackened crucibles still caked with a reddish residue later confirmed to contain gold isotopes impossible to produce without particle accelerators. Even stranger were the walls, scarred with deep, parallel grooves as if clawed by something humanoid. The site was quickly closed, but not before a local historian snapped photos of symbols scratched near the ceiling, a series of interlocking circles matching Dee's sketches of interdimensional portals. Now shift your gaze from Prague's alchemical heart to a place where the dead refuse silence. Beneath Edinburgh's South Bridge, the infamous vaults echo with more than just ghost stories. They hum with the whispers of those who vanished without a trace. But that's a pathway for another moment. For now, consider this. If Rudolph's alchemists truly unlocked the secret of transformation, what became of their work? Some doors stay sealed not to protect what's inside, but to protect us from what might get out. Beneath the eerie beauty of Sedlec ossuary, where chandeliers of human bones sway gently in the draft, lies a network of tunnels few tourists ever see. Known as the necromantic passageways, these narrow corridors twist beneath the church like roots of some ancient, gnarled tree, their walls lined not with dirt or stone, but with carefully arranged femurs and skulls. Local legends claim these macabre decorations aren't just art. They're a resonant chamber designed to amplify specific frequencies that vibrate at the threshold between worlds. Historical records from the 18th century describe clandestine gatherings in these tunnels, where alchemists and mystics performed rituals using bronze bowls tuned to precise tones. When struck, the bowls would send vibrations echoing through the bone-lined walls, creating a harmonic hum that practitioners believed could thin the veil between the living and the dead. One account, penned by a defrocked priest in 1789, tells of shadows that danced without light during these ceremonies, forming shapes that matched descriptions of long-deceased nobles buried in the crypts above. Modern paranormal investigators have documented strange phenomena in the ossuary's depths. In 2016, a team from Prague University set up infrared cameras and electromagnetic field detectors in the tunnels. Their equipment picked up sudden temperature drops and spikes in EMF activity whenever certain Gregorian chant tones known to resonate at 111 Hz were sung near the walls. Even more unsettling were the audio recordings, faint whispers in Old Czech, their words unintelligible but their cadence eerily conversational, as if responding to the living. The church's caretakers have long dismissed these accounts as superstition, but one detail gives pause. In 1937, during renovations, workers uncovered a hidden alcove containing a skeletal hand clutching a silver bell. When conservators examined it, they found the bell's alloy contained an unusual mix of metals, including traces of meteoric iron, that produced a tone outside the normal human hearing range. Laboratory tests revealed the sound waves it generated could theoretically disrupt low-frequency magnetic fields, the kind some researchers associate with paranormal activity. Was this a tool for opening doors or closing them? Now, leave behind Europe's whispering bones and set sail for the Pacific, where an island shrouded in mist guards secrets of its own. Off the coast of Chile, Easter Island's iconic Moai statues stand sentinel over tunnels that plunge deep into volcanic rock passage, ways the Rapa Nui people say lead to the underworld. But that's a pathway for another moment. For now, consider this. If sound can bend the boundaries of life and death, what other forgotten sciences might still echo in the dark, waiting for the right note to wake them? Off the coast of Pohnpei, where the Pacific meets the sky in an endless blue horizon, the ruins of Nan Madol rise like a ghostly jigsaw puzzle from the mangrove-choked waters. This isn't just an ancient city, it's a labyrinth of 92 artificial islands, each one built atop coral reefs with basalt logs so massive, modern engineers still can't replicate their placement. Local legends call it Sao Nan Leng, the reef of heaven, but its most chilling secrets lie beneath the waves. Dive below the surface, and you'll find tunnels snaking through the coral, their walls lined with stones so precisely fitted, not even a blade of grass could slip between them. These aren't just passageways, they're arteries, pulsing with stories the islanders refuse to speak aloud after sunset. What makes Nan Madol truly unsettling isn't its scale, but its impossibility. The basalt columns, some weighing over 50 tons, were quarried miles away on the opposite side of the island. No wheels, no pulleys, no draft animals existed here when it was built around 1200 AD. Oral traditions speak of the Sordilor kings who ruled here, claiming they commanded a magic called tuk, a word that translates equally as levitation or the whisper of ancestors. Modern divers have reported eerie phenomena in the submerged tunnels, currents that reverse direction without warning, temperatures that plummet in isolated patches, and most haunting of all, the sound of footsteps echoing through corridors where no living soul treads. Scientists have tried to dismiss these accounts as tidal echoes or the groans of shifting stone. But in 2019, a team from the University of Oregon mapped the tunnels with sonar and stumbled upon something that defied explanation. At a precise intersection of two passageways, their equipment detected a hollow chamber emitting a low-frequency hum at exactly 18.9 Hz, the frequency known to induce dread in humans. When they returned with dive lights, the chamber's entrance had vanished, sealed by a collapse that geological surveys later confirmed hadn't occurred. Island elders nodded when told this story. They've always known the tunnels rearranged themselves. The real mystery, though, isn't how Nan Madol was built, it's why. Pohnpeian folklore describes the city as a bridge, a place where the living could commune with Ani spirits who whispered secrets of agriculture, astronomy, and healing. But the price for this knowledge was steep. Chronicles from 19th century missionaries recount tales of the Sordilor demanding tributes of food and labor so excessive, they sparked a rebellion. Yet the rebels didn't destroy Nan Madol, they simply left. To this day, no one fishes near its reefs at night, and even the bravest locals won't walk its moss-slick stones after dark. Some say it's respect, others whisper that the Ani still claim their due. Now, shift your gaze from Micronesia's whispering waves to a desert where the sands guard paper instead of stone. In the heart of Egypt's white desert, a labyrinth of caves hides the Library of the Winds, a trove of manuscripts so flammable, they're said to ignite if read aloud. But that's a pathway for another moment. For now, consider this. If Nan Madol's builders could move mountains with a technology we've yet to rediscover, what other forgotten sciences might still hum beneath the coral, waiting for the right tide to reveal them? The Sahara's golden dunes stretch endlessly under the blazing sun, but beneath their shifting surface lies a secret even more elusive than water, the hermetic caves of the Tuareg. For centuries, these blue-robed nomads have guarded oral traditions of a subterranean library carved into the bedrock, its shelves lined not with leather-bound tomes, but with metallic plates inscribed in a language of light. Locals call it Tainsruft, the land of thirst, but whisper of a chamber where the walls themselves shimmer with hieroglyphs that rearrange under the torch's glow, telling stories of a civilization swallowed by the sands long before Egypt's pyramids rose. In 1924, a French Foreign Legion patrol stumbled upon something impossible in the heart of Algeria's Tassili-en-Najjar. Corporal Henry Duval's declassified field report describes a cave entrance hidden behind a waterfall of sandstone where the air smelled oddly metallic. Inside, his squad found a circular chamber with walls covered in pulsating symbols, not carved but seemingly projected onto the stone. The glyphs, he wrote, moved like living things, forming patterns that matched constellations no longer visible in the night sky. Most chilling was the squad's claim that touching the walls induced shared visions, cities of glass towers beneath a violet sun, and machines that harvested lightning from the air. Within hours of their discovery, Command ordered the unit back to base. By dawn, the cave's coordinates were scrubbed from maps, and Duval's journal ends abruptly with a single sentence. They say the desert makes men see mirages. But mirages don't leave burns on your fingertips. What could explain such phenomena? Modern researchers point to the region's unique geology. The Tassili Plateau sits atop vast deposits of piezoelectric quartz, a mineral that generates electric charge under pressure. Combine this with the cave's natural acoustics. Some chambers resonate at frequencies known to alter brainwave patterns, and you have the recipe for an immersive, hallucinatory experience. But Tuareg elders tell a different story. They speak of the Kel Esaf, the people of the shadows, who retreated underground when the Sahara was still a lush paradise, taking with them the wisdom of Atlantis. Their legacy, a language written not in ink but in energy, a script that responds to human touch like a living circuit board. The most tantalizing clue comes from an unlikely source: declassified Cold War-era satellite images. In 1968, a U.S. reconnaissance flight detected anomalous thermal readings in the same region, a patch of desert radiating heat at night, as if something beneath the sand pulsed with latent energy. The site was never investigated, but the imagery matches descriptions from a medieval Arabic manuscript, the Book of Hidden Pearls, which describes a door of fire in the desert that opens only for the pure of heart. Whether myth or lost science, one thing is clear: the Sahara guards its secrets fiercely. Now, journey from the furnace of Africa to the roof of the world, where another library waits in frozen silence. High in Nepal's Mustang Valley, the caves of Sky Cradle Monastery hold manuscripts penned in a language no living scholar can fully decipher, texts said to contain the blueprints of reality itself. But that's a pathway for another moment. For now, consider this: if knowledge can be written in light and sealed beneath the earth, what other libraries might still hum in the dark, waiting for the right hands to turn their pages? Some truths aren't lost. They're hidden in plain sight, pulsing just beneath the tread of our footsteps. High in the death zone of Mount Kangchenjunga, where the air thins to nothing and ice glitters like shattered glass, climbers whisper of caves that shouldn't exist. These aren't just gaps in the rock, they're perfect archways, their edges too smooth, their depths too dark, as if carved by something other than wind and time. Sherpas crossing the Yalung Glacier avert their eyes from these openings, muttering about Baal, sacred hidden valleys where the laws of physics unravel. Their warnings aren't superstition. Expedition logs from the 1920s tell of British mountaineers who strayed too close to one such cave, only to watch their compass needles spin wildly before their ropes snapped clean through, as if sliced by an invisible blade. What could inspire such dread? The answer might lie in a fragmentary manuscript smuggled out of Tibet in 1959. Hidden between pages describing meditation techniques, a Lama's diary mentions Vamana Shastra's Sanskrit texts stored in the frozen belly of Kanchenjunga, detailing Lakhima, the ancient science of weightlessness. These weren't myths. 20th century researchers like John Keel documented Nepalese monks demonstrating levitation in remote monasteries, their techniques allegedly drawn from those very texts. Even more compelling are declassified Soviet reports from the 70s, where scientists studying Himalayan caves recorded anomalous gravitational fluctuations near certain tunnels, readings that spiked whenever specific Sanskrit mantras were chanted nearby. The most chilling account comes from a Japanese climber who survived a night trapped near one such cave in 2003. His GoPro footage, later analyzed by physicists, shows rocks sliding uphill across the ice outside the entrance. But it's his audio that haunts, a deep, resonant hum vibrating through the glacier, matching the exact frequency NASA uses to simulate zero-gravity conditions in training chambers. When rescue teams reached him, they found his journal filled with sketches of concentric circles and a single phrase scribbled over and over: "The mountain remembers how to fly." Now descend from these frozen vaults to a place where the divine left footprints in stone. Beneath the jungles of Sri Lanka, Adam's Peak rises like a giant's tooth, its summit bearing a depression said to be the footprint of Buddha, or perhaps Shiva, depending on who you ask. But the real wonder lies beneath the pilgrim's path, where tunnels pulse with the rhythm of something far older than faith itself. The jungle-clad towers of Angkor Wat rise like stone prayers against the Cambodian sky, but the temple's true marvel isn't what meets the eye, it's what lies beneath. In 2015, airborne LiDAR scans peeled back centuries of overgrowth to reveal a staggering secret: an entire subterranean tier mirroring the temple above, its corridors arranged in perfect alignment with the solstice sun. Local monks call it Pre-Con Komnap, the celestial staircase, and their legends speak of a time when chosen ones could walk this hidden path to commune with the Devis beings of light who descended from the stars. The carvings lining these underground passages tell an even more tantalizing tale. Among the usual depictions of gods and kings, archaeologists found panels showing figures holding objects that defy 5th century technology: elongated devices resembling telescopic lenses, spheres emitting beams of light, and what appear to be intricate star maps plotting celestial movements with impossible precision. Most striking is a relief in the Western Gallery, where a robed figure stands before a pyramidal structure, hands raised as if manipulating floating orbs, a scene scholars admit bears uncanny resemblance to modern holographic interfaces. French archaeologist Henri Parmentier documented these anomalies in the 1920s, but his sketches were quietly excised from official publications after colonial authorities deemed them culturally disruptive. Why suppress such carvings? The answer might lie in the temple's original purpose. Angkor Wat wasn't just a religious site, it was a cosmic blueprint. Recent studies confirm its dimensions encode the length of the Hindu cosmic cycles, with corridors corresponding to the yugas, or epochs of humanity. The hidden tier, however, maps something far more controversial: a celestial event locals call Surya Pravartana, when the Milky Way aligns with the temple's central axis every 25,000 years. According to recovered palm leaf manuscripts, this alignment opened a doorway where knowledge could flow both ways. Mainstream archaeology dismisses this as myth, but LiDAR data reveals something unsettling: the underground corridors contain metallic deposits at precise intervals, creating a conductive path that could theoretically amplify electromagnetic energy during specific astronomical events. Now shift your gaze from Cambodia's jungles to the arid slopes of Mount Sinai, where another staircase waits in silence beneath the monastery of St. Catherine. A shaft descends into bedrock, its walls scorched by an ancient heat that monks still refuse to discuss. But that's a pathway for another moment. For now, consider this: if Angkor's builders could encode celestial mechanics into stone, what other bridges between earth and sky might still lie buried, waiting for the right stars to align? Some doors aren't just hidden, they're timed. The caves of Mount Sodom glow with an eerie luminescence, their walls crusted with salt crystals that crunch underfoot like shattered glass. But venture deep enough past the twisting stalactites and rippled floors, and you'll find something that defies both geology and scripture, a solitary pillar standing taller than the rest, its surface unnaturally smooth, its shape too human to dismiss as mere mineral chance. Local Bedouin guides refuse to approach it, murmuring about Imlak, the cursed one, while geologists who have studied the site admit the formation bears no resemblance to typical salt deposits. The pillar's core, when sampled, contains traces of organic material carbon dated to roughly 4,000 years old, the same era Lot's wife allegedly turned to salt for disobeying divine command. Historical records add layers to the mystery. 1st century Roman historian Josephus claimed to have seen the pillar himself, writing that it wept in certain seasons, exuding briny tears. Modern researchers confirm the phenomenon. Humidity shifts cause the salt to dissolve and recrystallize in rivulets down its sides, creating the illusion of weeping. But the real enigma lies beneath. Ground-penetrating radar reveals a hollow chamber directly below the pillar, its walls lined with lead sheets, a material the Romans used to block spiritual energy in their temples. Was this a deliberate containment? The conspiracy deepens with the discovery of a Roman outpost just half a mile from the caves. Excavations uncovered a trove of scrolls sealed in clay jars, their Latin texts describing rituals performed where the sinful woman stands. One fragmented passage details a midnight procession where soldiers poured molten silver into cracks in the cave floor, binding the omen to the earth. Why would Rome care about a local legend? The answer might lie in timing. The outpost was abandoned abruptly in the 2nd century, coinciding with Emperor Hadrian's brutal suppression of Jewish revolts. Some scholars suggest the pillar became a rallying symbol for rebels, its eerie presence fueling tales of divine judgment against oppressors. By sealing the chamber, Rome may have been burying not just a myth, but a revolution. Now shift your gaze from the Dead Sea's bitter shores to the green hills of England, where another Roman secret waits beneath the soil. Beneath the ruins of Bath's temple to Suli's Minerva, engineers found a tunnel lined with curses, not metaphorical ones, but actual lead tablets inscribed with the names of enemies, hammered into the walls like nails. But that's a pathway for another moment. For now, consider this. If a pillar of salt could threaten an empire, what other forgotten truths might still stand frozen in time, waiting for the right hand to brush away the dust? Beneath Rome's bustling streets, where tourists tread over ancient cobblestones, lies a shadowy network of temples dedicated to a god most have forgotten: Mithras. These underground sanctuaries, known as Mithraea, are eerie time capsules of a mystery cult that once rivaled Christianity itself. Step inside one, and you're met with scenes straight from a cosmic nightmare. Frescoes of a divine bull's slaughter, its blood morphing into constellations, while initiates in lion-headed masks reenact celestial battles. But the real shock isn't the imagery, it's the precision of the star maps adorning the ceilings, constellations plotted with an accuracy that shouldn't have been possible without telescopes. How did a 1st century cult know the exact positions of stars invisible to the naked eye? The Mithraic mysteries were no ordinary religion. Followers believed Mithras, a deity born from stone, wielded the power to manipulate the cosmos. Their rituals, conducted in claustrophobic, cave-like chambers, mirrored the movements of celestial bodies. Archaeologists have uncovered Mithraea aligned so precisely that during the winter solstice, sunlight pierces hidden shafts, illuminating carvings of the zodiac with laser-like precision. One shrine beneath the Basilica of San Clement even features a floor mosaic that doubles as an astronomical calendar, tracking planetary alignments lost to modern astronomy until the invention of supercomputers. Why did early Christians work so feverishly to destroy these sites? The answer might lie in what the Mithraists worshipped: not just a god, but a celestial blueprint. Scrolls salvaged from a sealed Mithraeum in Ostia describe a ritual called the Unbinding, where initiates ingested psychoactive mixtures to travel the silver threads between stars. These accounts eerily parallel modern near-death experiences, with detailed descriptions of wormholes and multi-dimensional realms. When Constantine converted Rome to Christianity, these ideas weren't just heresy, they were a threat. The Church couldn't risk a rival faith offering tangible proof of the heavens' mechanics, but the most tantalizing clue lies in a chamber discovered beneath the Circus Maximus in 2017. Here, researchers found a marble slab etched with a diagram of the solar system, except it included a ninth planet orbiting beyond Saturn, the Kicker. The glyph matches Sumerian descriptions of Nibiru, the mythical planet of the crossing. Was this borrowed knowledge or evidence of an older, suppressed astronomy? The slab disappeared into Vatican archives within days, leaving only blurry photographs behind. Now, cross the Atlantic to where another civilization buried its cosmic secrets. Beneath the stepped pyramids of Teotihuacan, tunnels lined with liquid mercury trace the same star patterns as Rome's Mithraea, but that's a pathway for another moment. For now, consider this: if the stars themselves were a battleground for faiths, what other celestial truths might still lie buried, waiting for the right light to reveal them? Some erasures aren't just acts of conquest, they're silences in a conversation we've only just begun to hear. The Grand Canyon stretches like a scar across Arizona's desert, its layers of rock whispering tales of epochs long past. But in 1909, the Arizona Gazette dropped a bombshell. An expedition had stumbled upon a labyrinth of tunnels near the canyon's rim, their walls glittering with crystals and their chambers crammed with artifacts that defied history itself. The report described sarcophagi of Egyptian design, hieroglyphs etched into the stone, and statues of deities never before seen in the Americas. Then, just as suddenly as the discovery was made, the site vanished from public record. The entrance was dynamited shut, and the Smithsonian, allegedly involved in the excavation, denied the find ever existed. What could explain Egyptian relics deep in the heart of the Grand Canyon? The Hopi tribe, whose ancestral lands border the canyon, have oral traditions that speak of the Kachina people, beings who arrived from across the sea bearing advanced knowledge. Their legends describe underground cities where initiates learned to walk between worlds, using crystals that amplified consciousness. Modern geologists confirm the canyon's caves contain massive selenite deposits, crystalline structures known to generate piezoelectric charges under pressure. Could these have been more than just geological oddities? The mystery deepens with accounts from early 20th century explorers. One prospector's journal, tucked away in a Flagstaff archive, describes a tunnel where his compass spun wildly and his candle flames froze mid-flicker as if time itself stuttered. Another reported hearing whispers in a language resembling Coptic, the ancient Egyptian tongue, echoing from walls adorned with metallic veins that hummed when touched. These weren't just caves, they were engineered spaces designed to manipulate perception. Why the cover-up? Some point to the era's academic dogma, which refused to entertain pre-Columbian transoceanic contact. Others suggest the artifacts hinted at something even more explosive, a lost global civilization that mapped the stars and mined the Earth's energy long before recorded history. The canyon's crystals, when analyzed by modern researchers, emit resonant frequencies identical to those found in the Great Pyramid's chambers. Coincidence? Or evidence of a shared, forgotten science? Now, shift your gaze from Arizona's scorched cliffs to a place where the earth itself seems to breathe. Beneath Turkey's Cappadocia, the Derinkuyu underground city descends 12 stories into the volcanic rock, its tunnels lined with doors that weigh half a ton yet pivot with a single touch. But that's a pathway for another moment. For now, consider this. If crystals could bend time in the Grand Canyon's depths, what other technologies might still hum beneath our feet, waiting for the right frequency to wake them? Some tunnels don't just hide artifacts, they guard the very mechanisms of reality. The Urals stretch like a spine between Europe and Asia, their slopes scarred with caves that defy logic, especially in the Dyatlov Pass, where more than just 9 hikers met their infamous end. Locals have long whispered of time traps, caverns where compasses spin like drunken dancers and watches stop dead, only to restart hours later with no memory of the lapse. These aren't just tall tales. Declassified Soviet geological surveys from 1962 label entire swaths of the region as anomalous zones, with one memo cryptically noting that certain caves exhibited chronal displacement effects. What could cause time itself to stutter? The answer might lie in the mountain's unique geology. The Urals are riddled with massive deposits of quartz and magnetite, minerals known to generate electromagnetic fields under pressure. Combine that with the region's frequent subterranean methane leaks, gas that can distort human perception in high concentrations, and you have a recipe for temporal chaos. But Soviet scientists weren't just studying these phenomena, they were weaponizing them. Files recovered from an abandoned research outpost near Kailash describe experiments where soldiers were ordered to stand at specific coordinates inside caves, then report gaps in their memory. One test subject's journal, partially redacted, recounts stepping into a shadowed alcove and emerging convinced it was still morning, only to find his squad had been searching for him for 3 days. The most chilling evidence comes from an unlikely source, the Dyatlov hikers' own cameras. Forensic analysis of their recovered film shows strange light anomalies in the frames preceding their deaths, streaks and orbs that match descriptions of plasma phenomena observed in Soviet lab notes on electromagnetic turbulence. Was their tragic end linked to something stirring beneath the mountains? A surviving researcher from the era, speaking anonymously in 2018, claimed the military drilled into a cave near the pass in 1971, hitting a cavity that emitted a tone so low it shattered their equipment. The sound wasn't just heard, he said. It was felt in the bones, like time itself was vibrating. Now, journey from Russia's frozen ridges to the sands of Egypt, where an even older secret waits beneath the Great Sphinx. Beneath its massive pores, seismic surveys have detected chambers untouched for millennia, one rumored to hold the legendary Hall of Records, a repository of Atlantean knowledge. But that's a pathway for our final moment. For now, consider this. If caves in the Urals could bend time, what might the Sphinx's keepers have buried not just in space, but in time itself? Some doors aren't meant to be opened because they might not lead to the one we expect. The bent pyramid of Dosha stands as one of Egypt's most enigmatic structures, its sloping sides shifting angles mid-construction like a coded message in stone. But the real mystery isn't what's visible, it's what lies sealed behind a 20-ton granite slab in its deepest chamber. Unlike other pyramids where burial chambers sit high above ground, this pyramid's heart is buried below, in a room so inaccessible that modern robotics can't penetrate its narrow, twisting passageways. Infrared scans reveal something startling. The chamber isn't empty. Heat signatures suggest metallic objects lining the walls, arranged in patterns that match ancient descriptions of Thoth's legendary emerald tablets, texts said to hold the secrets of alchemy, dimensional travel, and the very fabric of reality. Why would such knowledge be locked away? The tablets, referenced in Hermetic traditions across millennia, weren't just instruction manuals. They were rumored to be living artifacts, their emerald surfaces etched with symbols that shifted when exposed to moonlight, revealing different layers of wisdom to different viewers. A 12th century Arabic manuscript, the Book of the Hidden Chambers, claims the pharaoh Sneferu ordered the pyramid's lower vault sealed after priests demonstrated the tablet's power by turning a handful of sand into a storm of locusts. Whether myth or lost science, the message was clear. Some truths were too volatile for the uninitiated. Modern Egyptologists have petitioned for decades to excavate the chamber, but each request meets the same fate: sudden bureaucratic roadblocks or safety concerns. The most revealing incident occurred in 2010, when a team using ground-penetrating radar detected an anomaly. The chamber's ceiling contains a layer of piezoelectric quartz, the same mineral found in the Great Pyramid's so-called King's Chamber, known to amplify acoustic energy. This wasn't just a tomb, it was a resonator designed to vibrate at frequencies that might unlock the tablet's secrets or unleash them. As we reach the end of these 30 hidden pathways, a pattern emerges sharper than the pyramid's edges. From the Vatican's guarded archives to the echoing tunnels of Derinkuyu, from Shasta's humming caverns to Dosha's sealed vault, these sites share more than just secrecy. They're time capsules of forbidden knowledge, yes, but also warnings. Each one represents a crossroads where humanity glimpsed something transformative, only to bury it under layers of stone, dogma, or fear. The real question isn't why these secrets were hidden. It's whether we're ready to face what happens when they're found. Some doors stay closed not to keep us out, but to give us time to grow wise enough to open them. These hidden pathways tell a story far older than any single civilization, a story of knowledge too dangerous to survive in the light. From the Vatican's locked archives to the humming chambers beneath Mount Shasta, from the star maps of Angkor Wat to the metallic libraries of Ecuador, one truth echoes through the centuries: power doesn't just write history. It buries what threatens it. Imagine a world where the Great Pyramid's energy experiments weren't lost, where the Mithraic star charts remained unburned, where the alchemists of Prague perfected their crimson powder. How different would our present look if these ideas had flourished instead of being entombed? Yet the most striking pattern isn't just the suppression, it's the persistence. Like water seeping through cracks in stone, fragments of these banned truths endure. The Hopi still sing of the Kachina people's crystalline cities. Tibetan monks guard manuscripts describing levitation. Ecuador's Shuar elders whisper of metallic plates that hum when touched. These aren't just myths, they're lifelines, threads of a tapestry that was meant to be unraveled. Even the methods of concealment mirror one another: harmonic chambers to alter consciousness, labyrinths to filter the worthy, celestial alignments to encode timing. This wasn't haphazard secrecy, it was a global system of knowledge preservation designed to outlast empires. So who decides what we're allowed to uncover? The answer lies in the very resistance these sites still provoke. Notice how often official channels dismiss exploration, whether it's Egypt's refusal to fully probe the bent pyramid's vault, Japan's reluctance to acknowledge Yonaguni's structures, or the Vatican's sealed archives. It's not just about preserving relics, it's about maintaining narratives, because when you control the past, you dictate the future. But here's the hopeful twist: the Earth is slowly yielding its secrets. LiDAR scans peel back jungle canopies to reveal lost cities. Muon tomography peers through stone like X-ray vision. Every year, another fragment emerges, A scroll in a desert cave, a chamber beneath a church, a symbol etched where no one thought to look. The real question isn't if more will be found, but how we'll respond. Will we repeat history's mistakes, silencing what unsettles us? Or will we finally listen to what these underground sanctuaries have been whispering all along? As the dust settles on these 30 pathways, one thing is certain: the past isn't passive. It's alive in Derinkuyu's echoing tunnels, in Rosslyn's vibrating chambers, in the Grand Canyon's sealed caves. It pulses beneath tourist footsteps and scholars' pens, waiting for the moment when we're ready to hear its full story. Maybe that moment starts now, with you pressing play on another video, leaving a comment, or simply looking at the ground beneath your feet with new curiosity. Because the greatest hidden pathway isn't made of stone, it's the journey from forgetting to remembering.